Now today we are going to do that next part of the vectors. Now we have already done what is the vector triangular law. Vector triangular law is represented by vector AB plus vector BC equals vector AC. Now when you use that vector triangular law, at that time you can't meet that arrow direction opposite to the our moving direction. And when you use that vector triangular law, they should have same coefficients. I mean vector AB plus vector C, vector AB plus vector BC equals vector AC. Now you can write like this, but they should have same coefficients. Now otherwise you can write 2AB plus 2BC equals 2AC like that. But anyway you can't solve this equation by using 2AB plus BC equals 3AC like that. Now this is wrong because you can see now these two terms have different coefficients. Now first term the coefficient is 2 and second part coefficient is 1. So at that time you can't simplify these two vectors. So if you want to simplify the vectors, they should have same coefficients. Right. Now next part. Now next part is we have already done what is the resultant of vectors. Now I mean that the parallelogram theorem. In the vector parallelogram theorem, now you know we have done that one. Now two vectors are represented by two adjacent sides of the parallelogram. Then the resultant is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram, which start from the cross point of the point of intersection of two vectors. Now this is the parallelogram theorem. Now you assume these are the two given vectors P and Q. Now parallelogram theorem that says when two vectors are represented by two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, then the resultant of these two vectors is given by the diagonal which start from the point of intersection of two vectors. That is the parallelogram theorem. Now anyway I told you, now this diagonal represents the resultant. And it remains another diagonal. Actually this other diagonal represents the subtraction. Now this is the subtraction. Now this represents summation. Now this is the summation or resultant. This represents the subtraction. Anyway, now we are going to study how do you take the subtraction of two vectors. Now for an example, now you have to prefer your knot from this here, from this point. Now write the topic. Now you have to prepare your knot with your own self. Now after 2 weeks, I asked that knot. At that time you have to leave that knot by using the WhatsApp. Right. Write the topic. Subtraction of two vectors. Subtraction of two vectors. Now we have many theorems to subtract for two vectors, but all other subtraction methods are using the faculty. Now you have entry for the faculty. At that time you can simplify by using other theorems. In the A-level exam, in the A-level syllabus, you have to use only one theorem to take the subtraction. Now here I am going to teach you what is the subtraction and what is the method of subtraction. Right. Now you assume given two vectors are represented by these two adjacent sides of the parallelogram. Now everyone knows now that resultant is given by the diagonal which start from the center like this. Now that is solving. Now you assume if you want to take vector P minus vector Q. Now again I will give a small reminder here, that is, now you can change the vector direction by changing in front of the sign. Now vector AB equals minus vector BA. Otherwise, if vector AB equals minus AB, I do not change the characters, but I change the direction of arrow. So that's why I told you. Now we can change the direction of vector by using minus sign in front of the vector. Otherwise, you can interchange these two characters in the vectors by changing in front of sign the vectors. Now that is the method to change direction of vector. That is the method to change or interchange these two characters. Now I mean, when you change the sign, that may be plus or minus. When you change the sign in front of the vector, you have to change the direction of arrow mark. Otherwise, you have to interchange these two characters. Right. So now here I am going to take P minus Q. Now vector has magnitude and direction. Now when you draw another identical vector for the given vector, you have to consider about the magnitude and direction only. No need to consider about other features. Because the vector means it has magnitude and direction. So when you draw the negative vector for the given vector, you have to consider about the direction and magnitude. Now for an example, now here I am going to draw minus Q here. Now this is Q. Now when you take minus Q, magnitude the same. Because now when you take that plus 2 or minus 2, magnitude the same. But signs are different. But so that's why I use that theorem. This is plus Q. Plus Q means the magnitude is represented from here to there. Magnitude is represented. Now this is A and this is B and this is B. Now magnitude is represented by the length from A to B. So that's why when you draw minus Q here, so minus Q means you can write plus Q equals minus to the opposite direction. So I change sign in front of the vector. So I have to change the direction. Otherwise I have to change two characters. But here there are no two characters. So I change the direction. There are no two characters to change now. So I change the direction. Now this is Q. I use minus sign. So I change the direction. Now that is okay. So plus Q is represented by minus Q with the opposite direction. Now plus Q is here. Direction rightwards. Now when you draw minus Q, this is the minus Q. Direction leftwards. But these two lengths, I mean A to B and A to C, these two lengths are equal with each other. Because this is minus Q. But magnitudes are same. Magnitudes are same. Now that is Q of Q. Now you assume this minus Q as X. Now take minus Q as X. Minus Q as X. Now that's okay. This is P and this is minus Q. Now you assume minus Q is given by X. Now no need to worry about this minus sign now, because you have already put that X instead of minus Q. Now neglect this minus Q now. Now take P and X. Now you better simplify P and X by using parallelogram theorem. Now this is P and this is plus X. So resultant of P and plus X is given by the diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors. Now that is okay. Now that is the theorem. Now this is the original vectors which they have given us. This is P and this is Q. Now that is okay. Now that is okay. Next one. Here I want to draw another minus Q here. If it is plus Q here, opposite direction is given minus Q with the same magnitude. This is minus Q and you better take minus Q as X. Now no need to worry about this minus sign again because we have already taken that X as the minus Q. Now you assume you have two vectors. These two vectors are plus P plus X. And X is represented by minus Q. Now, you can find the resultant by using parallelogram theorem when you have two positive vectors. This P positive and this X positive. Now, that the resultant or summation is given by the diagonal of parallelogram which start from the point of intersection of these two vectors. Now this is the parallelogram, adjacent sides of P and Q or P and X. Now this is the resultant of P and X. Now that is okay. Now resultant of P and X means P n minus Q. So everyone knows what is this vector. Now this is the vector A, B. Now here I take that C and D. E, F. Now that is okay. Now vector A, F is equal to the vector B, F. Now that's okay. Vector A, F equals vector B, F because they have same magnitudes and same directions. So these are two identical vectors. So I can write the resultant is given, the P and Q resultant is given by diagonal from AD and this represents subtraction because this is the summation of P and X. P and X means P n minus Q. This represents P minus Q. So this vector is equal to this one. This also represents P minus Q. Now everybody, when you prepare your note, you have to write all these examples. Right? Everybody make P minus Q again. Take P and Q, take A, B, now we take this is B, this is C, this is D, and this is E, and this is F. Now everybody draw that one in your note. First you have to draw P and Q, then complete the parallelogram which represents P and Q. Now this is the parallelogram when P and Q are the adjacent sides of the diagram. Now everyone knows that the diagonal AC represents resultant of P and Q. But if you want to take the P minus Q subtraction, first of all you have to draw minus Q vector here. Plus Q and minus Q, they have same magnitudes but they have opposite direction. So plus Q lies rightwards, so minus Q lies leftwards. So now again you assume that the minus Q is represented by X. Now plus P is already there and plus X is already there. Now you can simplify it because no need to worry about that minus sign. Now you have to simplify plus P and plus Q plus X. Now everyone knows when they have same positive vectors, the adjacent sides of parallelogram. So resultant is given by the diagonal which start from the point of intersection of these two vectors. Now that is okay. P and X. So diagonal is this one which start from the point of intersection here. So this represents p plus x. But again you can write minus q behalf of x. So it represents p minus q. That is the method to take subtraction of vectors. Now again we are moving to the next example. Now draw the p and q two vectors adjacent sides of the parallelogram. Now you assume this is the given parallelogram and these are two adjacent sides of the parallelogram. Now everybody complete that parallelogram by using dotted line like this. Then after you can find the resultant and the subtraction by using that parallelogram. Right. Now this represents p minus q. Now everybody find the q minus p. Now everybody make the theorem to find that q minus p. Now first of all you have to draw minus p. So minus p is represented by plus p, but here you have to use minus sign in front of the p by changing the direction of vector. So first of all you have to draw minus p vector. So when you consider the magnitudes of plus p and minus p, they have same magnitudes but directions are opposite. So first of all you have to draw minus p vector. Then after you better simplify plus q and minus p. Now everybody find that one. Right. Now this is the way to draw that minus p. So here actually you can write this is q plus minus p. Now that is okay now. So you have to take the sum of q and minus p. So if it is p here, this should be minus p. They should have same magnitudes and opposite directions. Now that is okay. This is minus p. So now you assume minus p is represented by plus 6. Now here you have to find what is the magnitude of q minus p. Now no need to worry about this minus sign again because you have plus q and minus p here. Again you better use plus x instead of this minus p. Now that is okay. Right. Now neglect this minus sign and p. You better take that term as x. So you can find the magnitude of these two vectors by the diagonal. Now this is q and this is x. These two vectors are plus. So resultant is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram. So these are the two vectors of this parallelogram, q and x. So the diagonal is given resultant like this. Now this is the resultant of plus q and plus x, but plus x represents minus p. So this is the resultant of q minus p. So this is the resultant of q minus p, vector q minus vector p. So sometimes now when you have two characters, that vector is represented by arrow mark. When you do not have that two characters like as this, at that time we represent that vector mark by using small underline like this. Right. Now this is the method to find p minus q. First of all you have to draw minus q here. So you better take plus p and plus x. X represents minus q. So diagonal is given by the AE. and it is equal to the dB. Now here I am moving to the next one. Now this is the method to find that Q minus P. First of all, you have to draw minus P here. This is plus P and this is minus P. So you have to find the resultant of Q minus P. So X is represented by the minus P. So finally you can take sum of Q and plus X. So plus X represents minus P. Now this is the diagonal which start point of intersection of Q and X. Now it represents Q plus X. Q plus X means Q minus P. That is the method, and again this diagonal is equal to this. So if I label the diagonal as AB here, again it is equal to CD. Now that is the method. Now everybody draw this example in your note. Now when you prepare your note, you have to write properly. Now you have to draw and you have to write all these examples in your note. Right. Now we are going to write note. Now here I give the note. Right. Now write the note. Note. Now write this one. In parallelogram theorem, the diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors. In the parallelogram theorem, the diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors gives resultant of them within bracket summation. Other remaining diagonal represents subtraction of two vectors. Other remaining diagonal represents subtraction of vectors. So everybody draw this one now in your note. Now these are the two vectors in adjacent sides of the parallelogram P and Q. Now first of all everybody draw parallelogram by using these two adjacent sides. Now when you prepare your note, don't take too much time. Like this is P and this is Q. Right. Now everybody label the resultant of diagonal in this parallelogram. The result of diagonal is given by the resultant of these two vectors is given by the diagonal of parallelogram which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors. Now that is all. Now other part. Now this is the resultant. Resultant means summation. Other part gives the subtraction. But anyway, if I label like this, now first of all, how do you make that diagonal? This diagonal equals to this one. Now you have to start with the point of intersection, that diagonal. Now always resultant X between of these two diagonals, these are vectors, so it is given by like this. Now this is P, this is minus P. So this gives Q minus P. So this is q minus p. Now write, this is subtraction. Subtraction. This is q minus p. This is actually, this is p plus q. This is q plus p. This is q minus p. Now when you label these two arrow marks upwards like this, at that time it is p minus q. But anyway, don't label these opposite arrow marks in one diagonal. Anyway, that diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors represents resultant of the given two vectors. The remaining other part, I mean that the remaining diagonal, other diagonal represents the subtraction. That is the theorem. Right. I told you how do you find the p minus q or q minus p also. Right. That is the vector parallelogram theorem. That is the explanation. Now here we are going to do some examples by using the subtraction. Now anyway, first of all I have to teach you what is the circular squares. You have done these theorems in all level also. Circular squares. Now write the note. Circular squares. Write the note. Circular squares. This is very important, much more important, this theorem in the vector simplifications. Circular squares. Circular squares. Circular. Now when you draw the square with two right angle with opposite vertex like this. Now these are two right angle angles which placed opposite vertices. So if it is the two right angle angles with the opposite vertex, at that time you can say this is the circular square, because these 4 points are placed on circumference of the circle. So that's why we say this is the circular square. Now these 4 points are placed on the circumference, one circle, circumference of one circle. So that's why we say this is circular square. At that time, actually you have done this one. Now everyone knows when you draw the circle like this, if it is diagonal here, at that time it subtended angle at the circumference is 90 degrees. So this is the subtended angle at the circumference. So now that is the circular square. Now when you have two right angles in the square, at that time we can say that is the circular square. That implies these 4 points are in circumference of circle. Now that's okay. Now if the angle capital A is here, this should be A. Now these are two opposite angles, this should be A, this should be A. Now that's the theorem. Right. Now that is okay. If I give another example, now when you take this circular square, if you label this point as A, X, so take these two angles are right angle. If X is here, at that time these two angles are represented by X. Now that is the example, two examples for the circular squares. These are the two examples for the circular squares. Right. Now when you prepare your note, you have to write all these two examples. Right. Now next one. Now here we are going to do some examples by using subtraction of two vectors. Now first example, first one. Now before the application here I will do them some explanation to you. Now for example, now here I am going to rotate around my own axis with the piece of chalk like this. Now there is a piece of chalk in my hand. Now here I am going to rotate around my own axis like this. Now while rotating I release this chalk. So while rotating I release this chalk. Now you can see what is the moving direction when I release the chalk. When I am moving in the circular motion. Now here I am going to do that. Here, ready? I do it. Now you can see that the piece of chalk travels along the tangent. Now that is the theorem. When an object moves in circular motion, all the time that velocity acts along the tangent. Now you can see, sometimes actually you have seen this one. Now you assume there is a bend in the main rod. Sometimes you have seen this one. Now assume there is a vehicle, that the vehicle comes with a large huge velocity. At that time he can't balance this velocity. At that time due to the centrifugal force, at that time that the vehicle goes like this. Because at that time all the time velocity acts along the tangent. So that's why when an object moves in circular motion like this, at that time all the time that the direction of velocity on circular motion acts along the tangent. That is the basic theorem in circular motion. So here we are going to take this one to simplify our application. Right. Now write this one. Right. Now write this one. Now you assume. Now first of all of you take this note. Now definitely this is very important. Now write this one first. Write this one. When an object moves in circular motion, always velocity lies along the tangent. Right, is that okay? Right. Now again draw this one. Now when you draw this figure, it is very easy to understand. Now you assume an object rotates anti-clockwise like this, anti-clockwise, all the time that the velocity lies along the tangent like this. Now always that velocity lies all over the circular motion along the tangent like this. That is the basic theorem in circular motion. Always that velocity. But here I didn't say speed because speed has no direction. Now actually this is the basic theorem in circular motion. We will do that in the circular motion lesson later. At that time also we take this theorem. So that's why everybody highlight that theorem. Right. Now again we are moving to the lesson now again. Right. Now this is the example. This is the example. First example. Example 1. An object moves in circular motion like this, anti-clockwise, with speed v, but anyway when you consider about the point at that time you can say that is the velocity, but anyway an object cannot move in circular motion same velocity because all the time it changes its direction of velocity. That's why now never that object moves in circular motion with same velocity. That the object cannot move in circular motion with same velocity because it can keep same magnitude but it cannot keep same direction when it moves in circular motion. You can understand. So that's why that the object never goes in circular motion with same velocity, but it can move in circular motion with same speed. So that's why when you consider about the circular motion, if you want to say same magnitude, at that time you have to say same speed. An object moves in circular motion with same speed, but an object never moves in circular motion with same velocity because time to time it changes its direction. You can understand? Yes. Now an object moves in circular motion with same speed v, but when you consider about one point, at that time you can say, you can introduce the velocity. Now this is the point A and this is the point B. Now they ask about the subtraction of velocity at point A and point B. Again I will repeat it. Now an object moves in circular motion with same speed. But when you consider the one point, at that time you can introduce velocity. Because all the time, all of the motion, that velocity lies along the tangent. So that's why when you consider about one point, at that time you can introduce the velocity. So here I am going to ask the subtraction of velocities at point A and B. Right. Now write this one. Write the question. An object goes in circular motion. An object moves in circular motion as in the figure. With same speed. With same speed. Find the subtraction of velocities. Find the subtraction of velocities at point A and B. At point A and B. Now everybody do that one. Now this is the method to learn this one. Now when you watch the video clip, you better stop. You better pause that one. Right, now everybody do that one. Right, first of all, you better label the direction of velocity at point A and B. Now everyone knows when an object moves in circular motion, it keeps velocity along the tangent all over the motion. Right. Now these are the direction of velocities at A and B. Now here we are going to find the subtraction of velocities at point A and B. This is B. Now first of all, you better draw these two vectors in another place. So here I take this point. Now again I draw another identical vector for the given vector V at A. Now when you draw the identical vector, you have to consider about the direction and magnitude only. So this vector V is represented by this length from here to there. Now when I draw the another identical vector here, I have to consider about this length. So I take same length here. And again we have to consider about the direction also. It lies rightwards. So again I may label rightwards here. So this second vector represents the first one. These two vectors are identical because when they are identical vectors, they should have same direction, same magnitudes. These two lengths are equal and these two directions are same. Now that is all. Now again I draw another identical vector for the B, velocity at B. Now that also V, so I draw another vector. I take same length here and same direction here. Now that is all. Now everyone knows this is what? This is a right angle because always the line between radius and the circumference, that is right angle. Now you can say this is circular square. This is circular square. Now again everyone knows this also 90 degrees. So this also 90 degrees. So I draw these two vectors in another place. This is V and this is V. Now here I have to draw not parallelogram. This is not parallelogram or rectangle that represents square. So this is V and this is V. These are the two vectors at point A and B. Now we are going to find the subtraction of these two vectors. So everyone knows the diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of two vectors that represents resultant or summation. The remaining other diagonal represents subtraction. Now this is the one diagonal, it represents summation or resultant. This other diagonal represents subtraction. Now that is okay. So here I am going to find the subtraction of these two vectors because that in question they have given what is the subtraction of these two vectors. So again I will do another remind you. Now when you take the right angle triangle, if there is length here and if I label the theta here, this component is given by L cos theta and this component is given by L sin theta. So you can write these two lengths by using the components. Towards the angle you can write L cos theta, for the other direction L sin theta. So when you take these two triangles are identical. So everyone knows summation of the straight line, that is 180. These two sides are equal, so these two angles are equal and this is the common side. So these are two identical triangles. So and sum of the angles on this straight line 180. But these two angles are equal with each other. So one angle is represented by 90 degrees. Now that is okay. But when you have the right angle triangle, you can take the resolved component to write the length. So this is V. This length is V. And this is 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees. And these two triangles are identical. So this angle is 45. So I can take the resolved component here. From here to there, this length is V, this is 45, this length is L theta, L sin theta, V theta, opposite side L sin theta, L sin 45. Now these two triangles are equal with each other, so this part also L sin 45. Now everyone knows what is the length of this diagonal. L sin 45, L sin 45, that is 2L sin 45. So this XY length is given by 2L sin 45. Now that is okay. That is a subtraction. Because this diagonal represents resultant of summation, this diagonal represents subtraction. Now this is the subtraction of these two vectors. So finally you can write sin 45 means 1 over root 2. So finally it gives root 2 into 8. Now this is the subtraction of V minus V. V minus V. Now V minus V does not equal to 0. Because these two vectors have two different directions. So you can't simplify it. So if you want to simplify it, you have to follow the parallelogram theorem or vector rectangle or vector square. Now when they have same sides, it represents by the vector square. When they have different values with the right angle, it represents by the rectangle theorem. When they have different sizes with the another angle without 90 degrees, it is given by the parallelogram. That is the theorem. But anyway, we will do another example to understand this well. Now write the second example. Second example. Now draw this one. An object moves on circular motion with same speed v. Now this angle is 40. Now this is A and this is B. Now first of all, everybody write a question. An object moves in circular motion. An object moves in circular motion with speed v. Find the difference of velocities. Find the difference of velocities at point A and B, or subtraction velocities at A and B. Now first of all, everybody label the direction of velocity at point A and point B like this. Always that velocity lies along the tangent. Now again, you can draw another identical vector here. This is V, same length, same direction. This is V, same length, same direction. Now that is okay. Now you can draw it well. Same V. If it is 40, everyone knows this is 40 because this is the circular triangle, circular sphere. This is 40, this is also 40. If it is 40 here, this is 40. Now this is 40. Now you have to find. Now first of all you have to complete the square like this because that is not given a parallelogram now. Now because these two adjacent sides are equal and this is this is parallelogram. This is 45. This is 45, not right angle. So this is parallelogram now. Now when you draw the diagram like this, it represents the sum or resultant. This diagram represents the subtraction. This is resultant or summation. This is the subtraction or difference. So you can write this is 40 not 45. This is 40. You can find it very easy now because these two triangles are equal with each other, same side, same angle and common sides. So these two triangles are identical. So one part is 90 degrees. So you can take the result component again. This is 40 degree. So it is cut by the same angle. So this should be 20, this should be 20. Now this 40, this is 40 and this total angle is 40. Half of the angle is given by 20. So this is diagonal and this is the adjacent side for 20 and this is the opposite side for 20. So you can write this length is V. Now take the previous one, theta L. This is L cos theta and this is L sin theta. Now this is V. V is the L. So V acts as L. This is V 20. This is opposite side. This is V sin 20, this is V sin 20, V sin 20. And these two triangles are identical. It's also given by V sin 20. So finally, you can take the diagonal of xy. So xy length is given by 2V sin 20. 2V sin 20. Now that is 2V sin 20. Now no need to simplify more than this situation because that sin 20 no need to simplify. Actually this is the past paper, past paper. In that year also they gave you the answers with sin 20. No need to simplify it. Now this is the answer because actually you have done that this what is the value of sin 20 all over. So that's why no need to find it again and again. In the A level, they mentioned that sin 20 as sin 20. No need to find it by using logbooks. Now this is the subtraction. Now this is the difference of vectors at point and B, A and B. Now that is all. Now that is the second example. Here, I will give another example to understand well. Now this is the last example to understand the subtraction of vectors. Right. But they will give you the same vectors when you ask about subtraction. They will not give the different vectors to find the subtraction. Definitely they will give you the same vectors to find the subtraction. Because when they give different vectors to find the subtraction, at that time you can't simplify it by using the Euler theorems. Actually, they can simplify it, but we can't simplify it by using the Euler theorems. So that's why definitely they will give you same magnitude of vectors to find the subtraction. Right. Now next one. This is F, vector F, and this is F, vector F. Now F means force, and this is theta. That's only. Now write the question. Now write the question. Right. Now first of all you have to complete this sum. Now write the question. Find the subtraction of f minus f. Now sometimes they will use this as symbol. These two vertical line segments represent magnitude of f minus f. That is the modulus of f minus f. Now when they label like this is the module of x. Module of x means that is the magnitude only. No need to worry about the minus sign or plus sign. Find the f minus f. This is vector f minus vector f. That is not equal to 0 because they have different directions. So you can't simplify it by using the Boolean normally algebra. So you have to follow the vector triangular law, otherwise parallelogram theorem, otherwise vector rectangle, otherwise vector square. Right. Now everybody find the f minus f. First of all, you have better draw two diagonals like this. Two diagonals like this. Then after you can simplify it well. Now this represents resultant or summation and this represents subtraction. So you have to find the length of this diagonal to find the subtraction of f minus f. Now that is okay. Right. Now first of all you have to find the length from here to there. Now it is very easy to find. Now this is f. Now these two triangles are identical because these two sides are equal and these two angles also equal. Two sides are equal, two angles are equal and this is a common side. So these are two identical triangles. So sum of the angles on one straight line is given by 108 degrees. So this should be 108 degrees. But these two angles are equal with each other because these two triangles are identical. So this should be 90 and this should be 90. Again I will remind that theorem. Now when you have the L here and theta, you can write this side by using the result component of diagonal by using L cos theta and this is given by L sin theta. Now that is okay. Right? Then you can write like this. If it is f here, these two triangles are equal with each other. This should be theta divided by 2 and this is theta divided by 2. So you can write, if it is f, now f acts as L theta opposite side is given by L sin theta. F theta opposite side is given by f sin theta divided by 2. F theta opposite side, f sin theta divided by 2. So finally you can write the length is given by 2f sin theta divided by 2. Now that is the subtraction of two vectors. So finally you can write the subtraction of f minus f is given by 2f sin theta divided by 2. That is the theorem. That is the theorem. Now that is okay. Now that is okay. Now we are moving to the next part to find the resultant of vectors when they will give you two vectors with the angle. Now this is the theorem to find the resultant by using two vectors when they give you two vectors and angle. Now for an example, first one, now everyone knows by using the vector parallelogram theorem, if it is theta here, if it is P and this is Q, the resultant is represented by R equals P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos theta. Now that is the theorem to find the resultant. But definitely that resultant should be started at the point of intersection of two vectors. That's okay. Right? Now here I am moving to the next part. Write the topic. The finding method of resultant of two vectors. The finding method of resultant of two vectors with the angle. With the angle. Now here in previous I told you how to find subtraction. Now this is the method to find subtraction. But here I teach you now what's the method to find the resultant. Actually you have done this one. Now we use that general expression for the vectors resultant, general expression for the resultant vector. But anyway we will do some examples to understand it. Right? Now for example, this is the first one. This is the first one. Now first of all, everybody write this equation. Now this is the general expression to find the resultant of two vectors. P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos theta. Highlight it well. Now this is the general expression for the resultant to find the resultant of two vectors, and this is theta. Now that is the theorem to find the resultant by using two vectors. This is the resultant. Resultant is represented by R. Right. We will do some examples. We will do some examples. Right, first one, when theta less than 90 degrees, when theta less than 90 degrees. Now you assume the vectors are represented by the force. Now this is force, 5 newtons. This is 4 newtons and this is 60. Now write the resultant. No need to simplify it, you just write the values by using this general expression for the resultant. Now this is the general expression. R equals P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos theta. Right, P squared phi squared plus Q squared cos squared plus 2PQ. You better take that P as 5, Q as 4. Otherwise, you better take Q as 5, P as 4. Now, that is as you wish. Now, 2 into P. P means 5. Q into 4. Q means 4. Cos 60. Now, when you write the value for theta here, you have to take total angle between them. But when you find the resultant here, don't take the part of the angle, take the total angle between them. When theta less than 90 degrees. Now, everyone knows that cos 60 equals half 1 divided by 2. So, you can simplify it. Now, next one. When Q equals 90 degrees. So, when Q equals 90 degrees, this should be right angle. This is 8 newtons and this is 6 newtons. Now, here you have to draw the rectangle because this vertical side larger than the horizontal side. So, at that time this is right angle. So, here you do not complete the parallelogram. Here you have to complete the rectangle. Right. Now, here I ask about the resultant of these two vectors. So, first of all, you have to write P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos theta. So, that the result is given by the diagonal which starts from the point of intersection of these two vectors. So, you better substitute this value for P and Q. Now, you can take as you wish, 8 as P, Q as 6. So, finally, you can write R equals P squared 8 squared plus 6 squared plus 2PQ. 2 into 8 into 6 into cos 90. I told you to take that whole angle when you write the value for theta. I told you to take the whole angle between them. Now, the angle between them 90. Now, everyone knows cos 90 equals 0. Cos 90 equals 0. So, this whole part becomes 0. So, no need to write this part. So, finally, it is given by 8 squared plus 6 squared. So, this is 64 and 36, that is root 100, it is given by 10. Now, R is okay. That is the method to simplify. When you have two right angle vectors. So, actually it is given by the Pythagoras theorem also. Because when 8 is here, this should be 8. So, when you use the Pythagoras theorem, that the value of R squared, I label this one as R squared is equal 8 squared plus 6 squared. That is the Pythagoras theorem. Actually, we follow the Pythagoras theorem here. It is given by the parallelogram basically, but when we simplify it, it is given by the Pythagoras theorem. So, you better take the Pythagoras theorem to find the resultant when you have two perpendicular vectors. That is the theorem. Now, when the two vectors are perpendicular with each other, you can find the direction also. This is the direction. Tan theta equals, if it is 8 here, this should be 8 divided by 6. Because tan theta is given by opposite side divided by adjacent side. Now, opposite side is 8, adjacent side is 6. So, finally, theta is given by tan inverse 4 divided by 3. That is the method to identify the resultant of two perpendicular vectors. At that time you better draw square or rectangle. When you have same vectors, these two sides are equal with each other. At that time you have to draw square. When they have different vectors, you have to draw the rectangle here. So resultant is given by the rectangle law. When the theta less than 90, resultant is given by the parallelogram theorem. Actually, this also represents parallelogram theorem. But when angle 90, it is given by the Pythagoras theorem. So this is the method to find when two vectors are perpendicular with each other. So finally, take when theta larger than 90 degrees. Theta larger than 90 degrees. Theta larger than 90 degrees. Right. Now, you assume this is 4 newtons and this is 6 newtons, and take this is 150 degrees. Now here we are going to find the resultant. Actually resultant, always resultant acts between them, not middle point of them, because these are different vectors. So when you have 6 and 6, definitely resultant goes middle line of them, but these are two different vectors, so that the resultant never goes middle line of them. Always that resultant goes to the larger one. Right. Here we are going to find the resultant here. Now we have already done how do you find the resultant when theta less than 90 and when theta equals 90. Finally, we are going to find the resultant when theta larger than the 90 degrees. R. Right. Now here we are going to simplify it. Now keep it, this is very important. Now when you take the result component, don't take the larger than 90 degrees. When you have larger than 90 degrees, you better take the small angle to take the result component. You follow this method. Now this is larger than 90 degrees. So always you better take the result component by using the small angles. So don't take this 150. Now everyone knows the sum of angles on the one straight line is 180. So this should be 30. That's okay. Now don't worry about this 150 degrees. Now you better take this 30. To simplify 6 and 6. Now you better take this one as 2. 6 and 2. So I am going to find the resultant of this 6 and 2 when the angle between them is given by 150 degrees. So you better write like this. Now this is 2 and this is 6, and take this one as 30. Now everyone knows when you take the result component towards the horizontal direction, it is given by the 6 cos 30. 6 cos 30. 6 cos 30. 6 cos 30. So 6 cos 30 acts leftwards. So you can write the total value parallel to the horizontal direction as 2 minus cos 30. Because this is 6 cos 30x leftwards, 2 for the right direction. Total value is 2 minus 6 cos 30. Now that is okay. So when you write the value here, R is given by P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So when you write the values here, you better take this one as P and this is Q. So P square 6 square plus Q square 2 square. Because when you take the power 2 square, all time it gives plus L. And 2 P means 6, Q means 2 into cos. I told you to take that small angle 30, but when you take the small angle 30, you have to write minus sign in front of the value, because this gives 2 minus 6 cos 30. When you take the power 2, you have to take minus sign in front of the value. This is the method to find. Now you can simplify it. Cos 30 is given by root 3 divided by 2. Now you can simplify it. Now no need to simplify now. Now here I want to teach you what is the method to simplify when we have the large angle more than 90 degrees. Now that is the method. But anyway, we have to write a summary here. Summary. Everybody write the summary. Write the summary. Write the summary. Now here I am going to write a summary. Now write the summary. First one, when theta less than 90 degrees. P, Q. The resultant is represented by R. So R is given by P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Next one. Now here we have discussed about three cases. First case, theta less than 90 degrees. Second one, theta equals 90 degrees. P, Q, it is given by the Pythagoras theorem. So this is R. So R is given by P square plus Q square. So direction is given by tan theta equals P divided by Q. Tan theta equals P divided by Q. Theta equals tan inverse P divided by Q. Alright, next one. Third one. When theta larger than 90 degrees, this is P and this is Q, and theta larger than 90 degrees, so this is R. So at that time R is given by P square plus Q square